It was a very different experience going into this film, partly because we had money, and I was confident that the money was going to be there for the next day's shooting. Where the trouble is with Lock, Stock is I was very anxious about whether we turn up for the next day and people would be paid for the next day. So on this one I didn't have to worry about that, which allowed me to have fun. It's not as a funny film, this one, as the last one, but at one point it very nearly slipped into a farce, and I made two different films, and I could have cut two different films. One could have been a full blast comedy, and the other one is a bit more is a bit darker. This film starts quite funny, and then it takes a bit of a dark turn at some point. Well, I thought it did. So some people just think it's really funny, but it's not supposed to. I fancy him as, you know, I wanted to be taken as a serious filmmaker on this one. I failed. You see, the thing is that Brad couldn't give us too much of his time. Or, well, maybe he could have done, but I didn't want to impose on him too much because, you know, I was flattered enough that he wanted to be in our film anyway. So I thought, right, what can we get him in on quickly that, you know, mastering an English accent is a tricky old thing, and I couldn't see where he was going to fit in as a Brit. And then mastering a British accent and then a sort of London British accents, and it starts to become a bit tricksy, you know. But the great thing about this Irish gypsy thing is that, you know, he's not really an Irish gypsy. He's just a gypsy with a bit of an Irish tint to him. So and you're not really supposed to understand what he's saying. So he you know, it was built for him in the respect that, you know, he'd come in there. And the thing is about Brad Pitt, he's very funny, and I don't think anyone's really ever capitalised on that before, but he is a funny bastard, and it is nice to do something where he's not taking himself seriously, and he doesn't take himself seriously in this, and, you know, it's a bit of a piss-take part, and you know, he worked on that very nicely. You know, a couple of years ago, before Lock, Stock came out, to me he represented something that was very British, which hadn't been represented by cinema. So, plus he has that sort of, he's a larger-than-life character in a sort of tough sense, and I wanted to bring that to cinema, and he was the man to do it. He just, you know, he embraces, he just says so much about what England is in a certain respect, and it'd just be a shame not to use Vinny. The thread that runs through the film that pulls everything together is it follows the trajectory of a diamond, which is, because what it's about a load of subcultures, you know, diamond dealers, Irish gypsies, bare knuckle boxers, and a sort of underground gambling world, and the thing that brings them all together is this diamond, which is an 84-carat stone, which is travelling from Antwerp to New York and gets lost in London. Yeah, I did have some qualms about casting a soap star, but, you know, that's probably what attracted me to him as well. You know, people weren't, I mean, everyone was a bit reticent when you mentioned Mike Reed's name, and they go, oh, don't be silly. But then, as I say, that was the reason that I went for it. I mean, he's a great actor, Mike Reed, but, and he's never, I'm not sure if he's ever been in a film before. Well, if he has, it's certainly not a film that I've seen. So, I don't know, it's just fun, it's fun casting. What I was going for and what I ended up with was different. I mean, I wanted something that was authentic in the respect that, you know, I've always got miffed that, you know, when you get hit by a fist, the reality of it is you usually go down after 2 good wallops or 1 good wallop. And in films, traditionally, people have taken 50 wallops and then their nose starts to run with blood. So I didn't want to go that. So I wanted to reflect the reality of these things, but unfortunately then it leads to a rather boring punch-up. So there's a balance somewhere in between the two. Hopefully I mean, it's as much about, without trying to sound too pretentious and poncy, it's as much of a ballet as we could have constructed. I'll tell you what, the crack was with all the lads, famous or not famous, is that there was no difference between any of them. They were all as much of a crack and as easy to get along with as the next man. And there was no airs or graces that anyone brought to the party. And they were all working for not a lot of money, and they were all staying in pretty shabby accommodation. And all that considered, they were all a fucking good laugh from beginning to end. They're all a pleasure.
I'd say because we're more confident now than what we was in Lock, Stock about what we're doing. It's a lot funnier, a lot more funnier gags. And the budget's a little bit bigger. So, we've been able to get, like Dennis Farina, Brad Pitt and, these people in, for all the little twists, Whereas before, even the barman was the first AD on Lock, Stock, you know what I mean? And film is basically revolving around a diamond that's floating about and gets put in different hands. Different people are after it. Play Bullet Tooth Tony, who's at the beginning of the film he gets shot 6 times. One of the bullets goes through his side of his face, comes out and takes his front teeth out. So he gets the bullets and has them dipped in gold and replaces them. So I end up with gold teeth, hence Bullet Tooth Tony. Most of my scenes are with Dennis Farina, who was in Get Shorty, and he comes over and I'm taking him around and sort of in the underworld of London and Hatton Garden and down the East End and that, and we're trying to track down this diamond for him. Guy likes to get on and get the scenes done, but saying that he won't rush it if it's not right. He has to, it doesn't matter, it might be 10 takes, but he has to, he likes the word action, He's a one-off, really. He's a young guy, that's he's got a great future, obviously. What he believes in, when he believes in something, he sort of makes sure it comes true. His beliefs are very strong, and he believes himself. He has no grey areas when if he makes a decision, he knows it's the right one. So he's very strong that way. But he's only a young fella. He's great to work with. He's led me all through Lock, Stock. He's leading me all through this. And anything I do, I go to him for his advice. While you're doing a movie, this is 3 months movie. It's 3 months of your life. You don't sort of have half days off here and there where you can just say, oh, well, I won't worry about the script today. And I like to know all my lines, backwards, sideways, and forwards helps as well. With me, I like to go and all the time you get beforehand, I like to practice, and even in between shoots, I like practicing, throwing the lines at each other, to get it right. That's why, I'm listening. I'm an apprentice in this game, and I'm not running before I can walk. I'm taking one step at a time.
Well, it's basically about a piece of jewelry, is basically what it's about, and the journey that certain groups of men have in wanting to get this piece of jewelry and the interest that they all have in it. And it's these groups of men who really never come together, you know. It just doesn't seem like they all get together at one time. And for instance, there are a group of actors on this movie that I've never even seen because my character doesn't come in until a certain point, and they're already gone, and their interest in the jewelry is gone, so I never see them. And then there's another group, and then there's gypsies and everything. But it's all going to cut together real well, we hope. I play a character from New York, a diamond merchant from New York, who comes to London to get a piece of jewelry that he has quite an interest in. Well, I thought it was interesting. You know, I had seen Lock, Stock, and Two Smoking Barrels, and I thought Guy Ritchie had an interesting way of shooting and an interesting way of telling the story. And then when they offered it to me, I read it a couple of times, and I thought I could have some fun with it. And I thought the character was pretty colorful and interesting. And as we worked on it, I think it got even a little better. As a matter of fact, Vinny and I were talking the other day. There were some similarities because he didn't start, you know, working in movies until he was about, well, I don't know how, you know, in his 30s, 30. You know, I was about 35, and he had another career. I had another career. You know, so we didn't. I'm not a trained actor. I never went to, you know, acting class or anything like that. I don't think Vinny has. So there's a lot of similarities. So yeah, I love it. You know, I mean, to me, it's. You know, someone once said that the Americans and the English are two people separated by a common language, and I think, in my case, it's true. I have enough rough enough time with the English language anyway, as you can probably tell. But there are whole conversations that have gone by me that I you know, I nod and I say, well, thanks very much. And yeah, yes, I understand. And things like, but I really don't.
I played a part of Turkish, who's this kind of a boxing promoter, trainer, who recruits a gypsy character to come and fight in a bare-knuckle boxing match, you know, amongst these kind of villains of the underworld. The only people we encounter is basically the likes of Bricktop and his henchmen, because it all basically our stuff evolves around the boxing world, and Frankie Four Fingers and Dennis Farino and all them, they're involved with the diamond side of things, so them paths never cross. A lot of the stuff that we've done with Guy this time, as in Lock, Stock, a lot of the stuff sort of blossoms on the day. You'll get in and, you know, there's a scene like when we come in, we're marching Brad down into the boxing ring, and we've got all the extras there, and, you know, all of a sudden a riot starts, and this was never scripted, and so we had a lot of fun with that, and chairs were flying, and this, you know, things like that. It all makes, you know, part of the fun.
He's the one who starts the ball rolling, you know. He steals the diamond. The first one touches the diamond. I think that, you know, the only thing is that in American gangster movies, you know, the main element is a gun, you know. And here, you know, you got guns too.
But we got threatening faces as
Yeah,
well.
you got faces and you got bottles and knives and sticks and ashtrays and plates and other kinds of things, yeah. And tea cozies. I think that there's a few actors from Lock, Stock who's never acted before. I mean, there's Vinnie Jones. I mean, he's great. He's never acted before, but I think he has.
Yeah.
With the right attitude, you know, you can get, you know, the right attitude from the director, you can get a good, like, performance from someone who's never acted before. But it might not be a performance. What it is just having them just being there.
I play a fella called Doug the Head, who's a Jewish diamond dealer. He's just on the other side of the law. He's not one of the villains that go around killing everybody, but he's on the other side of the law and he likes to nip bits and pieces. I enjoyed the character. I like him, so. The only thing you can say about authentic is that I'm an authentic East Ender, and I played a Jewish guy, and I ain't Jewish. Not that that means anything, but I'm not Jewish. Despite the size of the bugle, have a look at that. I'm not Jewish. I've always looked at, you know, gangsters, as I say, as Humphrey Bogart, bang, gotcha, kid, national, all that business, but it's rough out there. This area, I mean, I was born in this area. I was born round the corner here. And it's a different place to what I used to know. And it's rough, it really is rough. As I was growing up, I was a, you know, bit of a would-be villain. I got me arse kicked a few times around here, but it's changed so much and it's a rough place. I don't only mean Hackney, I'm talking about the whole of London in general, the whole of big cities in general. And somehow he's grabbed hold of that and he's made it into today's film. Very impressed with young Guy Ritchie. I mean, I've, you know, in my time I've worked with hundreds of directors. I say that without tongue-in-cheek. And this young man's got something special. I watched him work, even when I wasn't working on the film. I was there and I watched him and I thought, he's got something special. I was very pleased that they understood what I was saying. The guys that I work with, even Brad Pitt, never said to me once, you know, pardon me, excuse me, never asked to repeat myself.
I play a character called Tommy, who's part of a little business organisation. I'm Turkish's sidekick. Jason plays Turkish, and I'm his prodigy, I suppose. We've been together since we were kids and just knocked about the streets together. Pair of spivs we are, really, I suppose. Turkish sends Tommy to buy a caravan, and I take Big Gorgeous with me, who's like our bare-knuckle boxer. And it all goes pear-shaped, as you can imagine. And Brad Pitt, the cheeky pikey, rips us off and batters Gorgeous, kicks the shite out of him, so we're in trouble from then on, do you know what I mean? But with Guy as well, you never settle, do you know what I mean? You're always on your feet, he's always got you thinking, because you're not too sure what he's going to do or what's going to happen in the scene. He has a plan and a structure, and then he just lets you create its own magic, I suppose. Yeah. So anything can happen, and mostly does, really. So that's the joy of working with him. You're not too sure what he's going to do. Brad, at first I was really nervous, because obviously he's an icon and everything, you know what I mean? He's on about 1 million young girls' bedroom walls, and all my cousins were on the phone, get me his autograph, especially our Danielle, So I had all that to contend with when I first met him. But I just couldn't believe, because we met him in rehearsals, he was just so, I don't know, I was expecting, maybe I shouldn't have expected anything, but you'd have this idea, this image of him coming in and swanning about and with a big entourage and everything. But there was none of that at all. I just couldn't believe. There was no airs and graces, and he was just really down to earth. He was just like one of the lads, you know what I mean? He's a lovely fella. When I heard Mike Reid was in it, I told my girlfriend, Anna, as soon as I went, we were looking through the script and that and through the cast list, and Anna just went, oh, look, and then we just looked at each other and she went, hello, sweetheart, and we just pissed ourselves laughing, and it was quite weird because then EastEnders was on and we always watch it, you know what I mean? I think Half the Nations was, and it was just, because it's Mike Reid, he was Runaround, and I always wanted to be on Runaround as a kid. It ain't run around. I've met East, he's a lovely fella actually. Jason Statham is brilliant to work with. He's just, I don't know, it's because he's raw, Jason, do you know what I mean? He's real and there's no messing about with him, there's no bullshit and all, and he's a lovely lad. He'd give you his last penny, do you know what I mean? He's a generous lad, got a big heart and that. But acting as well, he's really comfortable, and we've just learned so much from each other. We bounce off each other all the time, and we're constantly coming up with little ideas and stuff.
Basically, he brings everything to the party. He can cast it well, doesn't rely on the thespian actors. You can get performances out of people who haven't necessarily been trained in the acting world. Brad saw Lock, Stock, he loved it. He rang Guy up. Actually, I remember rightly, rang up Guy to ask him to direct a film that he wanted to do, which Guy said, no, I won't do, but I've got a script which I'm writing at the moment, there might be something in it for you. So then I rang up his agent and basically explained to him we were making this film for next to no money, and if Brad wants to be part of the team, he's welcome to be, and if he wants to be paid what he normally gets paid, then he can't. And he was great, and he met Guy again, and Guy, it was brilliant. I was there when Guy pitched the character to him, and Guy literally got up and acted out the whole bloody scene, and he did it so well that I think Brad just knew it would be a winner. The Vinnie Jones charisma, whatever that is, he's got that rare balance of, in half a second he goes from being like the toughest maniac madman to a soft, sweet, funny guy. Alan Ford, who plays Bricktop, had the best lines, and Guy found someone who could deliver them as well as they were written. And he was the real McCoy.